Hello and welcome to Literary Notes, a podcast by the Washington Talking Book and Braille Library. I'm your producer, Nathan Ureta. December in the Pacific Northwest is always a rainy affair, and this year is no exception. Perfect time to stay home reading a mystery novel. Author Robert Dugoni is a New York Times bestseller and creator of the character Tracy Crosswhite, a Seattle detective in a long-running series of procedural crime novels. The series has been a favorite of WTBBL patrons for a while now, so we thought it'd be fun to chat about it with Dugoni. Volunteer Courtney Maheras sits down with him to talk about the creation of Tracy Crosswhite, research for writing a crime thriller, and much more. Here's their conversation.
Welcome to Literary Notes. My name is Courtney Maheras. I am a volunteer audiobook narrator at the Washington Talking Book and Braille Library, and I am very happy to have in studio with me today New York Times, #1 Wall Street Journal, and #1 Amazon best-selling author Robert Dugoni. He is the creator of, among others, the Tracy Crosswhite series, the David Sloan series, and several standalone novels including The Extraordinary Life of Sam Hell, and most recently, Hold Strong with Jeff Langholtz and Chris Crabtree. In addition to being a prolific writer, he is also a former lawyer, an avid golfer, and a lifelong reader. Robert Dugoni, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me. That's a pretty thorough bio of myself.
Thank you.
I don't know that anyone would have said an avid golfer until recently.
I consulted the internet.
There you go.
And the internet knows. I had a suspicion, though, because you did have a couple of scenes on a golf course in the last few Tracy Crosswhite novels, so I was like,
I picked up the club for the first time 5 years ago.
Really?
I've now golfed in all over the United States, Mexico, Ireland 3 times.
Wow.
And I just got back from Scotland.
The Origin.
At the Origin,
Right?
St. Andrews. Yeah.
Beauty. Did you get to golf at St. Andrews?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
That's crazy. How was that?
It's great.
Yeah.
It's fabulous, and it's like going to Disney World for golfers.
Sure.
You know, every restaurant, every store has golf stuff up. There's golf clubs everywhere, and it's just kind of fun.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
It's fun.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, we are going to be talking today primarily about the Tracy Crosswhite series. So for anyone out there who hasn't read it, there will be spoilers, probably. So get ready for that. I have heard a story about the origin of Tracy Crosswhite, but could you talk a little bit about her origin story, where she came from, and why you chose to write a female protagonist for this series?
Sure. So Tracy Crosswhite actually is in the David Sloan series. She's in the book Murder One. And when the David Sloan series fizzled, my agent said to me, write me something new. And I said, okay, well, what are you thinking about? And she said, you do it. This is up to you. And police procedurals were big. Are big. They're probably the second biggest genre out there beside erotica. And I didn't think I was going to write erotica.
But you can. Never say never.
I'm not sure I can. I was once told by my agent to cut all the sex scenes because they weren't believable. I don't know what that means, but
Means you're a good son.
so I started to, my mom would say fade to black.
Yeah.
I started to look at my old books, and I was going to write a series with Kensington Row. So I called up my agent, Meg, and I said, Meg, I got it. Kensington Row, former college football player, now a homicide detective. He's in Murder One. Perfect. She said, I'll get back to you. She called me back and she said, no, not Kensington Row, Tracy Crosswhite. I said, why Tracy Crosswhite? And she said, why is she a high school chemistry teacher? And I said, I don't know. And she said, find out. So I started looking at this character, and I started thinking of the plot, which is the plot for My Sister's Grave, which is the reestablishment of the salmon here in Washington and the rivers and taking down the dams. And I started seeing there are all these things that people were finding when they took down the dams and the water receded. And I thought, what if they found a body?
Sure.
So I started to think about Tracy Crosswhite, former high high school chemistry teacher in a small little town up in the mountains, and how did she get to become a Seattle homicide detective? Mm-hmm. And that was sort of the genesis of the idea. The strange story is I called up a friend of mine, Kelly Heafy, who is sort of the head paralegal at the King County Prosecutor's Office. And I said, Kelly, I need help. I'm going to start writing criminal stuff, and I'm a lawyer, but I'd never done criminal. Can you help me? I got the perfect guy for you, she says. So she introduces me to a King County sheriff named Scott Tompkins. Great guy. Passed away tragically about 4 or 5 years ago. Really sad, because he was really a wonderful man. And I went into Scott and I said, this is my idea. I got this idea for a female homicide detective, and I want her to be really, really competent. She's really good at what she does. She's a great shooter. She's grown up shooting. She's tall. She's athletic. She's got blonde hair. She's got blue eyes. But she's not, not this gorgeous thing. I just want her to be, a woman extremely competent at what she does, like a lot of the attorneys that I practice with. And he kind of looks at me and he says, "Are you pulling my leg? Did Kelly put you up to this?" And I'm like, "What? Why? What's going on?" He said, "You need to meet my girlfriend." So a little while later, I met Jennifer Southworth, who really is one of, if not the first female homicide detective in King County, in Seattle. And she came walking in the door, and she's 5'9", 5'10", blonde hair, blue eyes. And I said, "Oh, now I know why you thought I was pulling your leg." And she was just a fantastic resource for me. Yeah. I mean, she told me things that I never really thought about. But I made a decision very early on. And my decision very early on was I was not going to try to write from the perspective of a woman. I thought that would be a horrible mistake. Now I have 4 sisters. My mother was a professional. She was a CPA. All my sisters are professionals. I worked in a profession with a lot of very competent, very good professional women. And so I knew how to create a character that was female, that could be really good at what she does, but didn't have to be she could be a woman. Yeah. Yeah. And so that's what I did. I tell people I write from the perspective of a person who has been grieved. She's got skeletons in her closet.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And she's trying to live life to the best that she can.
Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting. So you didn't base her on anybody, but then someone just appeared.
Exactly.
Like you conjured her.
Exactly. Totally conjured her out of my imagination. And then here comes Jennifer.
There she is. That's crazy.
And, Jennifer was she's just a great resource for me. She would tell me things that I'd never think about. Like, she hated it. All the women in the department hated it when a woman filed for like sexual harassment. Because what it meant was all the guys suddenly just moved away.
Yeah.
And they didn't treat her as a cop.
Yeah. Yeah.
They treated her as a woman cop.
A woman first. Yeah.
And she just wanted to be treated as a cop. And so she was a great resource. Scott was a great resource. They really taught me a lot about police procedural. Now, there were things they couldn't talk about.
Of course.
But it was a great education.
That's amazing. And she retired recently, right?
She retired, I want to say 2 years ago. And I still will send her manuscripts and say, "Can you look at this and let me know?" And she has, and she's still been a terrific resource for me.
That's amazing. That kind of leads me to a question about collaboration. So you have collaborators, obviously. You've got Jennifer and Scott when he was with us, and obviously you've got a team of editors and whomever. And oftentimes writing feels like such a solo pursuit, but really, I mean, it's never just you. And with Tracy too, right? When we first meet her, she really comes off as this kind of lone wolf type, right? She's so scarred by the trauma in her past. And a lot of her development is on a personal level, right? Trying to learn how to trust people again, Correct. Trying to learn how to let people into her life. And over the course of the series, she does gain quite a bit of family, literally, with Dan and Daniela, but then also her extended work family, even their spouses.
Correct.
And even when she's separated from her work family and her partners, you seem to give her allies and collaborators along the way. I'm thinking of like Sam Goldman in The Clearing. You've got Anita Childress in What She Found and One More Kill. Leah Battles is a great one. Can you speak a little bit about just allyship?
Yeah, what's important when you're writing is to create a world in which the character lives. Because we all live in a world of and characters, people around us. I think women are much good at holding on to friends for a long period of time, whereas guys, I think, tend to go to in the moment. These are my friends in the moment. These were my friends in high school. These are my friends in college. And so in world building, right, you have to create not just the character, but you have to create the world in which the character lives, and that includes all of the characters that she's a detective with. Vic Fazio, Del Castigliano, they're all working together. And I think the trick is to bring each of them out without them overshadowing who she is. The other thing is, for me, it's a lot of fun because Sam Goldman was my college journalism teacher. And he passed away. And he and his wife, Adele, were just lovely, lovely human beings. But Sam was and will always be a character. I mean, he is the guy in the book. He called everyone great hero, chief. Everything was an analogy, was a superlative. I mean, that's who Sam was. And he was just a wonderful, wonderful human being. And he has 3 daughters. And so for me, it's a way to keep Sam alive. For his daughters, and they love it. They love seeing him, come alive on the screen and all that. So, I think what Tracy has to realize is that she can't survive as a lone wolf. It hasn't gotten her anywhere. When My Sister's Grave opens, I think it's 18 or 20 years since Sarah's death, her sister, which Tracy blames herself for.
Right.
And she's living in this small little apartment, and she spends her life looking through manuscripts and evidence to try to find out who killed her sister and why.
She's got that box.
And meanwhile, she's got Roger the cat.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
And so, there's a point where she makes the decision that she has to move on with her life. She has to literally put Sarah in a mental box and tell Sarah, I can't deal with this right now, so I'm going to put you in a box and I'll deal with it later. And I think we all do that in life. I'm 64 years old now, and I think the one thing I've come to realize by living this long is all of us have issues.
Yeah.
Every one of us. And that's what makes us human, and that's what is a commonality, is we all have issues. I suffer from anxiety. I'm OCD. I'm claustrophobic. But I deal with it. I live with it. And the more people you talk to and the more people that you're open with and honest with, even on the golf course, I'll have people pull me aside and say, hey, you mentioned the other day that, you've dealt with some anxiety. Can I talk to you a little bit about that? So guys don't want to talk about it in a group, right? But everybody out there is dealing with something. And Tracy's dealing with it. And she realizes she has to deal with it. She can't put it aside any longer.
Yeah. Not to skip ahead, but I felt like at the end of What She Found, which was book 9, the last couple paragraphs, there was this moment, and I actually said to our audiobook supervisor, John Pye, I said, I think things are wrapping up for this series, right? Because she had said, she was reflecting on where she'd come from and where she was. She'd had all these major personal breakthroughs in her development. She had made peace with moving to cold cases and with her relationship with Nolasco as it was at that point. And she was feeling confident and called to actually use her past and her trauma to help others. And then I heard that book 10 was coming out. So I was like, all right, well, never mind. Well, whatever. But
you weren't the only one.
It felt good, right? It felt like she was in a good place and it would be okay to let her go.
Yeah.
Right. Obviously we love the character in the series and love to keep her going. But is there a point for you where she retires? Are you waiting for her to tell you? Like, is she going to turn into...
I think, am I waiting for her to tell me is a very good way of putting it.
Mm-hmm.
I talked to Lee Child about the Jack Reacher series one time. And he said to me, "Oh my, I'm going to kill Jack Reacher so I can just be done with him."
So it can be done.
And then now his brother is writing the Jack Reacher series with him. I think it's hard to kill off a character that you spent so many years with. It's sort of like losing a family member. I lost my mother in May this year. I had lost my father about 20 years ago. And there's really that truth to that feeling that you're an orphan.
Yeah.
And Tracy's an orphan. She's been an orphan for a very long time. And she still interests me. There's things that I still want to write about. When I wrote A Dead Draw, which is the 11th or 12th Tracy book, it was a homage to my dad. When I was a young boy, my dad used to say to me, we'd be watching television, he'd say, "Oh, Bob, have you seen this one? Have you seen this one?" And it would be on the waterfront. It would be trapeze. It'd be all the old classics, and especially the spaghetti westerns and the Clint Eastwood ones, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, A Fistful of Dollars. My dad would say, "Have you seen this?" Right? And so I really wanted to go back to Tracy's roots. I really wanted to go back to her shooting, which had sort of gotten lost in the shuffle, that she was this really competitive, great shooter.
Right.
But she's aged.
Yeah.
And let me tell you,
It's real.
it's real. I can't hit the ball as far as a lot of people. But I wanted to pay homage to that. I wanted that for Tracy. And then I have a friend that he was very high up at Nintendo, and he was a gamer. So I went to Jeff, and I said, "Tell me about gaming," and that was the impetus for creating the character of Lydia. And which I know some people that are Asperger's, and I don't know if you can say autistic anymore, but I think you say on the spectrum.
Yeah,
something.
neurodivergent.
Yeah, and they're normal people. They're just dealing with something, like I said earlier, we all are, right?
Yeah.
And so I really, really fell in love with the character of Lydia, and I brought Tracy back. Now, having said that, I do realize I got to get Tracy back into her world with Vic and Dell and Kensington Row and Nolasco, and I'm going to bring them. I'm going to bring them back.
I miss Kensington. I miss Kins. I haven't got to narrate a book with Kins in a while, and I'm like, where's this guy?
Yeah, and you do begin to miss some of the characters that you've created. So, I'm gonna bring her back, and I will write Tracy for as long as people, the readers out there, continue to want to hear her stories.
That's awesome. Can we talk a little bit about research? You, I assume, have done a ton of research. It seems like each one of your books you do a really deep dive into something. Forensics comes to mind. I know whenever I see Kelly Rosa show up, I'm in for something really interesting.
Yeah.
Let's see. Forensics.
Shooting. Shooting techniques.
Yeah, drug cartels.
cartels.
The naval judicial process.
Right.
I mean, how much of your process is just research? And how often are you just see something and you're like, I'm interested in that, and then that becomes a novel versus like looking for your next topic?
The latter, the former. I see something I'm interested in. That's interesting. And I'll start to read on it and do research on it. I will say that my research has changed over the years. My research used to be about books and articles, and I would have binders of material that I would read and read and read and digest, and I would digest it and read it until it started to repeat itself.
Yeah.
And then I felt like, okay, I've read all that I can really on the subject matter. And then I would summarize it in these 4, 5, 6, 7 page notes, and I would keep all those, and then I would work those into the story. AI has changed that dramatically.
Sure.
And so it's easier for me now to say, Tracy walked into the orthodontist office. hey, what's the name of the equipment in an orthodontist?
What's in an
And
orthodontist office? Yeah.
It's immediate.
Yeah.
Right. Now it's not always accurate, so
Sure.
you have to be careful. But in that respect, I can get away with not doing as much research as I used to do up front because I know I have a resource that I can pull things from. But I'm a nerd. I mean, I really like to do research. My son is a nerd. He loves to do research, but he's different in that he can remember it.
Yeah.
He holds on to the information. I think that being a lawyer taught me how to research, really learn, really understand it, and then when the case was over, I flushed it.
Forget it. You need the space.
And I need the space, and then I start the
Interesting.
next thing. So I love to do it. I just, like if you said to me, oh, tell me about the DNA and how I'd be like, I have no idea what you're talking about.
But you wrote a whole book about nope. No, it's gone.
It's flushed. But I think research is important for authenticity. I think if readers feel like a writer is bullshitting them, they give up on the story.
That's it. Yeah.
They give up on it. There was a book written many years ago, and it was successful, and I was reading it, and there's a scene, I won't say the name of the book of the writer, but there's a scene where a guy jumps out of a helicopter with a blanket, and he uses the blanket, holds the four corners, and uses it as a parachute.
Sure, as you do.
That was it. I closed the book, and I didn't continue because it's impossible. You can't do that. It would rip out of your hands.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not gonna work.
Yeah.
So you have to be real in your research.
Yeah.
Hold strong. A story of a young man and a young woman who are separated by World War II. He goes off to the Philippines. He's in the Bataan Death March. He's living in the Philippine death camps, and then he gets put on these Japanese hell ships, they're called. It's an unbelievable story. It is an absolutely unbelievable story. And I was just blessed to be the person that fell in line with these two university professors, teachers, PhD guys, who did 12 years of research on these Japanese hell ships and all the things that happened and went. So that was really an interesting project because I had to be careful not to allow the research to interrupt the story, but rather to complement the story, to enhance the story. And I think that's the key for research is you never want your research to take over the story. You want it to enhance it, to build it up, to authenticate it. But if it's too much, readers skip. I don't want to know all about shooting. I don't need to know all the details of it.
It's too inside baseball.
Right.
I will say, as far as research goes, I am grateful to you for the research you did on a woman being pregnant over the age of 40. I was narrating A Steep Price, and I had my child. I was a parent of advanced maternal age, which is what they call it now instead of geriatric pregnancy. Slightly less rude, but still not great. And it was a tough one to get through for me because it was bringing a lot of it back, right? Like trying to gestate and do other things, and like your brain is not working and you have to pee all the time. Anyway, the aches and the pain, and just the mind games that it plays with you. It was great. So I appreciated that because I saw real experience reflected.
My mom had 10 kids.
That's a lot.
And her 10th, Michael, was born after she was 40. And my brother has Down syndrome, which is higher risk for people who are older.
Yeah.
The thing that I have come to realize is it's the energy. When you're in your 20s and your 30s, the energy in raising kids is incredible. Flying back from Scotland, this woman and husband were sitting behind me, and their child started in, and he threw an absolute temper tantrum for about 15 minutes. Oof. And you could tell the people on the plane that were parents. Yeah. Because everyone was very understanding. Yeah. And you could tell the people who weren't parents.
Not. Yeah.
Who were looking at her like, shut that kid up.
Yeah. What are you going to do about this?
But I think that's what Tracy's dealing with now.
Yeah.
In this most recent book that I've been working on, she's contemplating having a second kid. Wow. but she's also understanding the practicalities of it.
Yeah.
You know, she takes Daniela to the playground, and she'll go with Trace, and people just assume Trace is the mom, and Tracy's the grandma.
Yeah. That's fun.
So, you know, she's dealing with all that stuff. It's having kids is hard.
Yeah.
And I think there's a certain amount of energy that young people have that we just don't have as we get older. I think we have more patience. I think we have more ability to say, but we have perspective, but we don't have that energy.
Yes. Yes. My husband and I say that all the time. If we'd done this 15 years earlier, we might not be as exhausted, but also we would have had no money and we wouldn't know what we were doing.
Right.
We still don't know what we're doing, but you go with what you go with what you get.
Through, right?
There's actually a lot. Speaking of that, there's actually a lot of underlying themes of parents and children in your books, and maybe that's just because that's life. We all come from somewhere, but I don't know if you know this or remember this, but we were supposed to do an interview on In the Clearing in March 2020. So that obviously got postponed indefinitely. So I had all these In the Clearing questions for you.
Yeah.
But, in The Clearing, you've got a real legacy of parents and children, both positive and negative there. And then, you've got parental issues in The Trapped Girl, in Steep Price, in, Cold Trail. She's dealing with, what it is to be a mom, this, the Childress line with, like, the amnesia and, the mom is missing and the daughter wants to find her. These guys in North Seattle who inherited a house with bodies in the cellar, right? I mean, parents and kids, like it's a big legacy.
It's a huge legacy. I think there's a couple of different answers to that. One is I am one of 10 kids.
Yeah.
So I grew up in a family. I mean, I was blessed to grow up in a unbelievable family with a terrific mom and a terrific father and wonderful brothers and sisters. And, it was sort of that, what was that show? 8 is enough, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And so that's one thing is it's a part of who I am. The other thing is what you mentioned, which is, you ever watch one of those shows where there's a character on and they're a lawyer or they're a doctor or whatever, and everything is about them being in the hospital and solving this case and being in the courtroom and doing this and doing that and doing that. And it's like, does the person ever go home?
Yeah.
Do they have a family? Do they have kids? Right. And I think one of the things that struck me one time and stuck with me was I went in to take a deposition, and there was another attorney taking the deposition with me. And the defense attorney was sitting across the way. And as we were asking questions, the defense attorney was working on a model of a cart. And finally at a break, we said, what are you doing? He said, oh my God, I forgot to make my son's soapbox derby car. And it's this Saturday.
Yeah,
and
it's due tomorrow.
I have to get it done.
Yeah.
And so that's reality. Right? That's reality.
Yeah.
And so I always want to say to these, these James Bond, and I guess James Bond isn't married, but, characters like that.
He's probably got several children somewhere, though.
Well, and what was one of the best James Bond movies? One of the best James Bond movies was when he finally fell in love, and he loved that woman. Yeah. Right? Because it was reality. Yeah. And for those of us who have chosen to have children, you do go home and nobody cares. If you're a big, author, or if you're a big attorney, or it's, what do we have for dinner, and who's cooking it, and I cleaned up last time, and can you put the garbage out?
Did you wash my sweater?
All that stuff.
Yeah.
All that stuff.
Totally.
It's life, and I decided early on that I did not want Tracy to be James Bond or Jason Bourne or Jack Reacher.
Yeah.
Which, not knocking them at all.
No,
it's a choice.
Great, but
they start at one place and they end in one place.
Right.
And then the next book they start in that place again and they end in that place. And they've been incredibly successful. But then there's the series where the character does age and the character does change and the character gets married and the character has kids and there's all those problems that happen with that.
Yeah. Life. So I know you were a lawyer. Can I ask what your specialty was? Or did you have a...
I would say that if I had to define myself as construction defense, I represented architects and engineers and developers who were being sued and back in the 80s. That was, mainly big developmental projects.
Right.
$50 million at stake because the windows leaked and
Right.
things like that.
Right. Okay. Just curious.
Yeah.
You are local to Seattle, to the Seattle area. You're a California transplant, as am I. Welcome. I see you.
Yes.
But I really love recognizing local places in your books. I'm the person who drives my friends crazy because I nitpick like the view from Fraser's balcony, right? I'm like, that doesn't exist. You can't have Elliott Bay is not that direction.
Right.
So I love when I can read your books and like, in The Trapped Girl, Dan and Tracy are having a romantic dinner and she's looking out at the water and she's like, oh, the crab pot was found right about there. And I'm going, I think I know exactly what restaurant that is.
Yeah.
Like that's
Yeah.
super fun for me. Can you talk a little bit about like putting local places in your books? And
Well, the funny thing is when I get emails from people say, hey, I'm coming up to Seattle, taking a cruise to Alaska, and we got a couple of days. Can you give me the name of that restaurant where Tracy went to dinner? I'm like, I can give you the name of the restaurant, but that's not the name of the restaurant that I really use because I never want to besmirch a restaurant or something. That's not what I'm doing it for. And so that can be kind of funny.
Yeah.
But I do get a lot of emails from people saying, hey, we did that walk that, Tracy did, and it really did such and such. I came to Seattle because my wife is born and raised here. And she's very tied to the Seattle area, multiple generations. Her grandfather was a very prominent attorney here in town. And I came because I was leaving the practice of law and my wife needed help.
yeah.
And so she needed the help of her family, and so she wanted to do that here in Seattle. Now, I was starting a new career, and I was very blessed to be able to do that and very grateful. But I also came kind of kicking and screaming. I'm a San Francisco Giants fan. I'm a San Francisco 49ers fan. I went to Stanford University, and here everything is about the Washington Huskies, and then it was about the Seattle winning the Super Bowl, and I rebelled. I used to call the Washington Huskies with Rick Neuheis. I used to call them the Evil Empire, until my daughter went there.
Yeah.
And then I went, wow, this is a great school.
Yeah.
It's a really great school. And so while I grew up in California, I am a Seattleite.
Yeah.
I lived here for 30 years. I love it here. I love everything about it. I root for the Mariners. I go to a lot of the games. I love the new coach for the Seattle Seahawks. I think he's going to be terrific. And so I'm sold. I mean, I think this is an incredibly wonderful place. My wife right now would be telling me to shut up because too many people are moving here.
Right.
But I like to write about places that I know.
Yeah.
And I teach the craft of writing.
Yeah.
I teach something called the Novel Writing Intensive. And I teach students. And I'll say to them, can you cross the street if there's a red light? And they kind of look at me and I said, in Seattle, the thing that really was amazing to me was it'd be 9 o'clock at night. There wouldn't be a car within 5 miles.
Don't do it.
And I'd get to the corner and everyone would be standing there.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, put my leg off the curb, like, is the road going to give way? I mean, why is no one moving? And then you go to New York City, and if you stop at a red light, you'll get run over by the people behind you. So it's those little details about where you live and why it's unique, which I think, again, enhances the story.
Can I partner with you on a Tracy Crosswhite series walking and bus tour of Seattle?
Yeah,
may I get in on that? I will take them to, bridle trails. I will take them to the base of Mount Rainier.
It'll be like the Seinfeld episode where the Kramer.
Right, Kramer.
He's driving the bus.
The bus, the real Kramer tour.
The real Kramer tour.
Yeah, we'll go to the Alki Lighthouse.
We'll do the real Tracy Crosswhite.
You can't go in, but that's where they got married.
Wasn't that a great? I mean, I saw that place and I was like, damn, I wish I'd proposed to my wife there.
It was beautiful.
Yeah.
It was beautiful. Okay, I reached out to a reader, or rather, a reader reached out to me with some feedback, which is always pretty exciting to receive. And I went back to her and was like, I'm going to be interviewing Robert Dugoni. Are there any questions that you would like to hear the answers to? So she wanted to know, do you ever get into the plot of a novel and then get stuck? You don't know how to get out of it.
Every writer does. Every writer does. I will say this. When I started my career, I used to outline.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd outline for 2-3 months. I'd research and outline for 2-3 months. I'd start writing, and I'd be off the outline.
Yeah.
I was never an outliner.
You're organic.
I'm an organic writer. Even in law school, everybody said, outline your answer, because even if you can't get to the section you want to write about, if the professor sees it in the outline, they'll give you points. I could never do that. And so what happened for me basically was I was let go by a publisher, and I had some time on my hands. And my niece, Amanda, had given me the book On Writing by Stephen King. And Stephen King, in that book, asked the question, how does a writer sitting at her desk touch the heart and soul of a person she's never met and never will, living in a town she's never visited and never will? And the answer was telepathy. Now, that's a typical King answer,
Sure.
right? But when you look down beneath the surface, what he's saying is that you are transporting that person and you are writing for them, even though you don't know who they are. It's no different than an actor speaking into a camera. He's not speaking, or she's not speaking into the camera. He's speaking to the people that are going to be watching the film. And so I had an experience where I was awakened in the middle of the night, middle of the morning. It was like 4 o'clock in the morning, by this young boy who had ocular albinism, right? And he's growing up in a small town, which seemed a lot like where I grew up, and he's bullied because he goes to the Catholic school and yada, yada, yada. And it was The Extraordinary Life of Sam Hell. And that kid just kept talking to me and talking to me. And what I did is I just let him tell me the story.
Yeah.
So that's what I do now, is I just let the characters tell me the story. Is it scary? Yeah, because you're writing about something on page 55 and you have no idea what the significance of it is. And the easy thing to do is to panic. And for a guy that can have anxiety, and I don't usually say anxiety, I just say I'm anxious about.
Sure.
That can be a little unnerving.
Yeah.
But when you do this enough, when you've published 30 novels, you begin to say, I've been here before. This is going to work out. And what's the best part of it, the absolute best part of it, is I don't know the ending. And I don't know how the ending's going to happen. And so when the ending happens, I'm like, wow, this is so cool.
Awesome.
It's all come around, you know, and all the things that she did on page 55 had meaning. It was there was a reason for it. And I think that is the muse. I think that's the thing out there that that's what my superpower is. You know, everybody has their own superpower, whether it's athletics or math or whatever. I have the ability to tap into these stories. And so as woo-woo as it sounds, I really believe that the stories are already written.
Yeah.
I'm just transcribing them and I'm just getting them out into the world.
Yeah.
And I know how that sounds. I know how it sounds.
You're not the first person to say it.
Painters will tell you the
Yep.
same thing. Theater actors will tell you the same thing. They'll get done with a performance and someone will say, oh my God, where did that come from? And they'll go, what are you talking about?
I don't know. I wasn't here.
What are you talking? Well, you did this. I did? Because you're in the moment and you're living in the moment. So I try to live in the moment in my books.
Elizabeth Gilbert has a story about a book that she was trying to write, and it just didn't come out for her. And so she put it aside. And another writer she met at a conference, they started talking, and she said, well, I'm working on this book. And it was, almost exactly. And she's like, I let it go, and it went to you.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It is crazy. But those things happen. I have interviews this week with people that want to turn my Kira Dugan series into movie or TV series. And I spoke with one of the producers yesterday, and I really liked her. And it turns out a friend of mine, she's working for a friend of mine and his books. So I sent Simon a direct message on Facebook. Hey, Simon, can you give me a call? I'd like to talk to you. This morning, I get a text message from Simon, and I haven't heard from Simon in 6 months.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like we're speaking to each other every day.
Yeah.
And he says, "Hey, Bob, do you or your wife scuba dive?" I'm like, well, that's odd. Why isn't he? I asked him if he'd call me so I could talk. And so I emailed him back and said, "I don't scuba dive, but my wife does. Did you get my direct message yesterday?" No.
Weird.
And so I said, "I'd like to talk to you." He FaceTimes me. He goes, "Okay, this is really bizarre." Because I hadn't communicated with him in months. He hadn't communicated with me in months.
Yeah.
And then back-to-back days, I felt the need to reach out to him. He felt the need to reach out to me.
Yeah.
It was strange. But that's the way life is.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Okay. I'm going to ask some maybe silly-ish kind of quicker questions.
Good.
Okay, you are very prolific. You just said that you published 30 novels. How long does it typically take you to write a Tracy Crosswhite novel or anything?
Far less than it used to.
Yeah.
It used to probably be a year, but now I can pretty much get a solid 3 months in, and I can get a solid draft to my team at Thomas & Mercer, who I rely upon heavily.
Sure.
Yeah.
Do you ever have more than one book or series going at once?
I do, but not in the way you might be thinking. I'm not necessarily creatively writing more than one book at a time, but the way that the publishing schedule works is I might be writing a novel, editing the novel that I've turned in, and copy editing a novel that's getting ready to be published.
Of course. Do you have a favorite series?
I have a favorite book.
What's your favorite book?
The Extraordinary Life of Sam Howell.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah, it's a tribute to my mom.
Yeah.
And I was really blessed and fortunate that my mom got to read it before she passed away. And, when you're one of 10 kids, you don't necessarily get your mom's attention all the time.
Sure.
And I don't think my mom ever wrote me a letter. She wrote me a letter after that book.
Wow.
And I'll always keep it. I'll always have it. And it always means something to me. But that book has touched so many people's lives. I mean, the stories that people have told me in emails are so incredibly humbling that, I've read them, some that have just brought me to tears. People will tell me that their youngest brother was named Michael, which is my youngest brother, and he's dying of pancreatic cancer. But every night the family gathers around his bed to read to him The Extraordinary Life of Sam Howell, because it's a story about faith and hope.
Wow.
I mean, if that just doesn't reduce you to puddles, I mean, I don't know what will.
Yeah.
So I never thought that my work would touch people on such a level. And so to see that novel touch people on such a deep level, it's just very humbling. I don't know how else to say it.
Yeah. That's beautiful. It's a privilege.
It's a blessing.
Yeah.
It really is.
Is there a character you'd like to spend more time with? Maybe an ancillary character?
There's a character that, I would, but I can't, and that's Victor Cruz from The World Played Chess. He was a character that came out of nowhere. I don't know where he came from. I don't know why he was so authentic, but he's a sergeant in Vietnam, and he's William Sargent over there. And when I got to the scene in the book that I won't spoil, but when I got to that scene in the book, I wept. I literally cried at my desk because I loved that character. I really, really loved that character. Now, having said that, when I wrote In the Clearing, Buzz Almond was a great character.
Yeah.
Buzz comes back. The next book, next Tracy book, number 12, is called One Split Second. and Tracy goes
This is
back to
exciting.
Cedar Grove. And I tell the story in 2 timelines, and one of the timelines is in 1981, and it's Buzz's case.
Oh my gosh.
And so while he's doing his stuff in 1981, Tracy's trying to figure out what happened, and she's in the present. And I loved Buzz.
Yeah.
Hoorah! Former,
Yeah.
Vietnam Marine, but just a great guy.
This
so
is
I got to
awesome.
bring Buzz back.
Now I have to go back and listen to how I did his voice so I won't mess it up.
Yeah.
Regarding the Tracy Crosswhite series, do you have a favorite antagonist? Because you've written some fun
A lot
ones.
of people really, really love to dislike Johnny Nolasco.
Yeah, he's kind of the worst.
Um,
Although, I mean, in book 10, One More Kill, I mean, he kind of...
You begin to understand why he's the way he
You've
is.
humanized him quite a bit. Yeah.
And
Makes sense.
But then there's a problem there, right? So who's the tug and pull with
Yeah.
now? And so I introduced the police chief.
He's still not great.
He's not a great guy, and he's never going to be a great guy.
No.
But Tracy can now understand why he is the way he is.
Yeah. Yeah. He's
And I think that's true with a lot of people.
Of course. Yeah.
I mean, especially as you get older. I won't bore your listeners with this, but a very short story is, because of what I do for a living, I got an email from a guy I hadn't seen in 48 years since I graduated 8th grade. He said, "I'm coming to Seattle. Can we get together?" He was always kind of a different kid. He was just different. And we weren't close or anything like that, but he was in my class. And he walked into the restaurant where I met him. And within about 30 seconds, I went, "Oh my God, he's on the spectrum." He's completely on the spectrum.
Yeah.
And I went, now I understand.
Things we didn't know.
No, had no clue.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I had no clue.
Yeah. I get that. You reconnect with some people and you're like, oh, you were trans. Like you were always, we just didn't have language for gender fluid, right? When I was in college. But like, yes, I see it now. Like I get it. Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing. Awesome. Well, I got one more silly question for you. Okay. If you were on the A team, who would you want to partner with and why? You can't say Tracy.
On the A team.
Vic.
Oh,
Del. Not that A team. Vic.
Yeah.
Del.
Okay. It would be Vic.
Yeah.
In fact, I did partner with Vic.
Amazing.
I worked for the LA Times, and there was a photographer down there, and he was Vic Fazio.
Oh my God.
I mean, his everything about him, the way he looked, the way he talked, what he did. I mean, he was just a hoot. He was just such a funny guy, and I drew on him a lot.
Yeah.
When I created Vic Fazio, Vic's he's a good guy.
He's a good guy, and I'm excited to. I would love to eat at his son's restaurant.
Yeah.
I'm very excited about that. Every time I read about they're going there, I'm like, yes.
So I'm in Rome with my son. He studied in Florence, and he called me up and said, "Dad, I saved Rome for you." I want to write a book called "Dad, I Saved Rome for You."
That's a great title.
And I went, and we went out one night, and we went into a restaurant, and I wasn't really paying attention. It was just close to our hotel. And I sat down, and I opened up the menu, and it said Fazio's.
No.
Yeah. And I think
amazing.
the red wine bottle also said Fazio on it.
Wow.
And my son and I just went, I said, "This is life."
That's crazy.
Just crazy.
Did you bring it home as a souvenir?
I did not, no.
That's good stuff.
Yeah.
Well, Robert Dugoni, thank you so much for joining us. This has been a wonderful conversation, and I'm very grateful.
I had a blast. I had an absolute blast. Thanks for having me, and thanks for inviting me. And hey, anytime you want to talk about my books, I'm happy to do it.
Sounds good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
The Tracy Crosswhite series is mostly available on Bard in Braille and audiobook formats. We have 8 of 10 of them ready to go, with the last 2 currently in process. We'll let you know in a later episode when they're available. The first novel in the series, My Sister's Grave, can be found as an audiobook with the class ID DBC00341. It's available as a Braille book with the class ID BR020621. If you have any questions or comments about the library, or to see if you qualify for our services, visit WTBBL.org or leave us a voicemail at 206-615-0400 or toll free at 800-542-0866. This episode of Literary Notes is a production of the Washington Talking Book and Braille Library based in Seattle, Washington. I'm your producer, Nathan Ureta. Thanks for listening.